OnChain, 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 OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish.
Welcome back to the 6th episode of the BTC Zone, guys. This is Tokeo on-chain revolution together forever. This is going to be something we do every single night. It is 7 p.m. Eastern time, 11 p.m. UTC, and we're gonna have some fun today. We got the amazing guys over from Iagon. We got Nav joining us, and these guys are building something truly special. I mean, reliable storage economy. These guys are building the cloud storage for Web3. But it's not just that. I was looking through their site, and it's kind of like some really cool stuff with I saw 3D printing type of stuff. We're going to walk through a whole bunch of that, but there, you need cloud storage. It's one of the most important things of what the blockchain can kind of bring to the ecosystem. So it's really cool there. They are a builder over on Cardano. So it is really awesome to kind of see the big stuff that's happening over there, because Bitcoin, obviously UTXO, Cardano, UTXO, and you got Charles Hockenson out there building bridges and wants to support Bitcoin DeFi. And what these guys are building as well, it's going to be something else that we can utilize in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So this is really a special episode. And we got my guy Guido back. We got Iago B back. So let's bring them into the show right now. We got Iago B. We got Guido. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the BTC Zone.
Yo, what's up?
What up, guys? Great to be back. Exciting show. Nav, a very old friend, founder and CEO of Iagon, very old friend of Tokeo, and super excited for you guys to chat to him. Real innovative thinker, great talker, and someone who's approached things like storage in a really unique way. So, yeah, super excited for the show. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. I mean, hanging in there, excited about some possible, updates with the macro environment to get things going with, liquidity. And so it's exciting that we're heading into Q4, but, we had a little time to kind of talk to Nav before, starting the show, and it definitely super interesting. And we need more of this kind of stuff for our space, right? Stuff that's real world utility, that's going to be usable, solving problems and having solutions. And I look at the space very different after this year, and with this current administration, just with the, approaching it with regulations in a friendly way. And I think we've got to start thinking about long game and companies and projects like what Iagon's bringing. So I'm excited to learn about what Nav and his team is bringing, and all the problems they're going to be solving.
Yeah, you said it right. Look, we love this project right from the start, because it is a real crossover from a real world problem and done in a much more efficient way. We'll certainly hear from Nav on that. But people have been tied to like old style storage products that aren't the most efficient. Blockchain creates a real efficiency around delivering these kind of services. And with that efficiency comes some savings for businesses as well. So look, I know they've got a lot of really exciting IRL partnerships that Nav can kind of give us a bit of an update on. But yeah, let's before too long, let's get him up and hear a bit about Iagon.
Let's do it. Nav, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks, guys, for having me, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the great intro, by the way. I gotta appreciate all that and all those nice words. Hopefully, I live up to the hype.
Well, I got to say, I've been around Web3, as I know you guys have for a while now, and Nav is one of those guys, certainly from the Cardano community, who is just really highly regarded. He's always there to help others out too. I certainly know that when we were launching our token at Tokyo, Iagon formed a big part of our strategy. For over and above that, he was always there to provide that kind of helpful ear and for a great sounding board for me. And he's one of those real community guys that's just super well respected. So it's so good to have you here. Nav, we always kind of start this section off by kind of getting to know the man behind the myth in your case. And why don't you give us a little bit of background? How'd you get into Web3? Tell us about your journey, how long you've been around, and yeah, a little bit about yourself would be great.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I come from the healthcare sector, so I'm a dentist by profession. I did a lot of programming in high school, but being from an Indian background, my parents pushed me into, the medical field, be a doctor or a lawyer. So I
Yeah,
became a dentist, right? And I got into crypto in BTC specifically in 2013. So that's when I first came across the Satoshi paper. And my interest in technology lied back from my high school days, which was, programming. I was really into looking at new innovative technology, and that's what came across my computer screen that time, and I started reading up into it. Really intrigued me, and at that time, I saw a big problem in the healthcare space, which was data privacy, data security, patient data specifically, right? And so I try to apply that blockchain technology onto that aspect, and
it's a
well,
great place for it.
that's how I came into this space. And that idea revolved over the time, because in 2013 I had two kids and I had a lot going on in my personal life, so I didn't reapproach the idea until late 2016, early 2017. And that's when I had to bring on some expertise, I guess, in the technical side, just to, am I doing something unique, or is it something, reinventing the wheel, or, trying to do something new? Because I didn't want to be, doing the same thing others were doing. And we took that approach. That's how it all started.
Wow. It's quite it sounds like you really came from a noble cause there too. I've as recently as a couple of months ago, I've had conversations with people who are working on storage of medical records. I've always thought for a long time that blockchain is a great place to store personal documents. Certainly we have products like Midnight, for example, which is working on protocols now which keep them in a secure fashion. But it's a great. I know for myself, when it comes to medical records, I've got doctors due to my lifestyle and my life. I have doctors in Bondi and Sydney. I've got a doctor in New York. I have I've got doctors in Melbourne, where I'm from, originally in Australia. My medical records are spread all over the earth in filing cabinets. Which is not useful when you need them, right? Like, you go into a doctor and you've got to give some history. You don't have that stuff at your disposal. So, that certainly was good thinking and a great way to, I suppose, get into the industry. Is that what kind of led you guys to Iagon and sort of like, obviously, for those, why don't you give a little bit of background about Iagon and how your journey there began?
Sure. So as we approached the idea, I got some technical knowledge on as co-founding team. We got Dr. Rohit Gupta, who's a former director of technology for Expedia, currently one of the senior managers at Google. We have Dr. Claudio Lima, who's a former CTO of Huawei in East Asia. He's currently teaching blockchain architecture to governments and enterprises. And then we have Dr. Alad Harrison, who's basically a machine learning expert and economics professor. So all of their kind of combined skill set kind of molded the vision of Iagon into a much broader vision. And instead of just focusing on medical records, it became much more than that. A generic kind of cloud storage solution based on blockchain technology. And that really, we wanted to do something unique. And a lot of us were kind of more from that academia background, and we wanted to approach it research first. So we delve into what are the current solutions, how do they differ into this idea? Because obviously we wanted to invest time, effort, money, our own funds into the project. So we had to make sure we're doing something new, not the same stuff. And we found out really that there was a lot of similar stuff out there, Filecoin, Coin, right? At that time. And in order to differentiate ourselves, we wanted to focus a lot of our stuff on compliance. And that was a big thing leading up into 2018. Is GDPR, which was European data regulation. If anyone doesn't know, it's basically, it's a boring topic, but it's very it was very needed at that time for keeping data secure and at the same time compliant, right? And a lot of businesses still to this day have trouble complying with those regulations, and big companies get fined all the time. So we went a business approach. We actually filed for a provisional patent in 2018 through the US. Since then, it's been granted across almost every major jurisdiction, which has a big industry. But our focus was focusing on onboarding Web2 enterprises. That was the first and foremost kind of target market. We realized over time, and I think that kind of solidified our direction, because over time, a lot of people, the Web3 industry just focused on partnering with themselves, right? Which didn't really onboard new users. And I'll tell you guys later on how that organic growth led to this adoption, right? But through this time, we invested a lot of funds into the company. We had grants from the Norwegian government, leading up to today, and then we launched on Ethereum in 2018. Ethereum being the more mature L1, I guess, at that time. There wasn't really any competition back then in terms of the L1s for projects to build on, and that was kind of the go-to, right? And we realized quickly, I guess, maybe relatively quickly, in that there wasn't the perfect chain for us, because first of all, the gas fees were extremely high. It wasn't cost enough for our business model, because we wanted to reduce the prices for storage. We wanted to make it cost effective by up to 80%. And if the gas fees were like $40 or more, that would just kill the business model. How would we offer a better price? The other thing was privacy and security. Security was a big thing, and EVM is still to this day has a lot of problems. EVM chains have a lot of problems with security. Token contracts are not as secure, and UTXOs has been proven to be much more durable in that sense. And Cardano was much more decentralized, secure, and it was more to our favoring for data storage. And that's why we migrated over to Cardano in 2021. We raised 3.6. Till then, we were mostly self-funded. And after that, we launched Mainnet in 2023. Since then, we've have 670 nodes across 52 countries. And we've been just growing. One of the things we like to emphasize, we've been doing movements the whole time. We've been really growing slowly, but focusing on grassroots marketing, organic growth, everything. We haven't really gone out and paid any influencers to do something. And like we're here talking to you, expanding our network, expanding the awareness. I think this is the best way to get in touch with people and community, and that's why our community is so strong. And I think Tokyo's, doing a similar strategy in that sense, because once you have a really strong community, you really get a lot of people engaged and believing in the vision. That's a side note, but I think that the focus was first on storage, and we have a lot of organic interest from this, compliance side direction. So we had Worth Group, which is a Fortune 500 out of Europe, that reached out to us. It took us 1 year to materialize. We started doing an MVP with them, and now it's going to be in production by the end of this year, planned, and that will start generating a revenue for us as well. The other one is we have a German bank, Hamburg Volksbank. It manages 4 billion in assets, but they are also coming in and using the data storage in terms of for their clients, a sovereign data storage which they can control. And the last one, we have a undisclosed Fortune 50. I mean, there's other ones as well, but this one, I guess, will probably, hopefully, perk everyone's ears. Is basically something. What is public out there is that they want to run 3 storage nodes on Iagon's network. So how Iagon's network works is anyone can offer their idle capacities to the network, be it storage or compute. Currently, we're just focusing on storage, and they want to provide that service. They have a lot of idle capacity, just not directly with them, and also through all of their customers, which means that we can expand in a very short time if that works out, if that pilot works out. And furthermore, if that pilot succeeds, what happens is that they want to create a white labeled solution on top of the laptops they produce globally, meaning that we would have instant millions of users if that were to happen, but thereby just using all of their distributed network, their private distributed network, all the clients, because they already have contracts with all their clients and customers. It just makes it so much easier for them on the compliance and legal side. And now they're taking a liability, which is a node that's earning no money and just they're costing energy, and they're earning IIG tokens. On top of that, they're making it into an asset, and they're also creating a distributed network for maybe running a cloud service for their laptop users, and thereby basically undercutting the market that they're going into. And that's a second revenue stream for them. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. And I think these things take time, though. And then, Web 2 has this own bureaucracy in terms of development. But we're excited to see all this adoption and all this traction that we're getting. And I think that that's because of the grassroots movements that, just like Bitcoin had. I think we want to emulate that if we can.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. Absolutely. And, you got to have a ton of conviction if you're trying to sell these Web 2 companies in 2018. So, I got to hand it to you on that. Honestly, that's tough because, and my question to you is, was that tough? Was it hard to break through? Because I can't imagine what these traditional Web 2 corporations and institutions are thinking, and they're nervous about regulation and all these things. What was that experience like for you? Was it tough? How were you able to break through that?
Yeah, you know what? Like, you won't succeed in anything you do without making mistakes. And of course, we made plenty of them, right? And early going, for example, building on Ethereum, not thinking about the whole compliance factor in the architecture right away, right? So rebuilding and building again, making those mistakes, learning from the mistakes is part of it. And that part of that is with the business development. And I think that in the early going, believe it or not, or if I wasn't a very good speaker, I wasn't as confident as I am now. Now everything rolls out naturally because I've been at it so many times. It's just repetition, right? You're just repeating the same stuff over and over again. But now you understand the product much more. Even though before it was vision, you still had a vision. Now you understand the vision and what you're trying to do much more because there's so much repetition, so much work that has already gone through it. So I think that with that in mind, we've had a much more clear message out there when we've kind of tried to communicate with businesses. So we understand, what they're looking for. One is compliance. One is IP security, because we do have a patent. Because if they're able to copy something, there's no point in them working with you if there's someone else, if they can do it, whatnot. So the other is cost effectiveness and earning extra for the node operators. If they're a node operator, they can also earn from that. So, just making it clear, having a clear message to them has really helped and improved our kind of onboarding success rate.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely
what's
amazing.
really sorry, you go, Shears.
You sure?
After you, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just have a question. So obviously, cloud storage is billion-dollar business, right? You Apple, Google, you got the masses in there, right? I mean, you guys are doing something different with it. You guys are decentralizing it. I'm just curious, what's the benefits of decentralizing the system?
Yeah, so I like going. I don't like going too technical, and I want to make sure I explain it the way we do to businesses, right? And people that may not understand the technical side that are listening in. So first, I like using the data lake analogy. So we have a data lake. So basically, on centralized services like AWS, Google, you have a data lake, a server, let's say, right? And when you send files to Google, they have obviously redundant copies. But if that one server was somehow breached, you would get access to all the data. So using that data lake analogy, you have a lake. Imagine you have a lake with a fence around it, right? And if you were to jump over that fence being the encryption, you can actually swim in the lake, which is a server, and collect as much information as you want, right? That's a very dumbed down way of saying of showcasing how data leaks happen. It's not that Google or AWS isn't secure. It's kind of the implementation of it that sometimes results, for example, from human error, right? And we have data leaks all the time. Almost every 2 weeks, you'll hear like a big company having data leaks. We had in the U.S. there was a recent, I think it was Social Security data leaks, and there hasn't been a data leak in history that is not extraordinary, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Why we would distribute it is this is the same using the same analogy. So there's people that are providing the idle capacity. So we call them nodes, and they can be distributed across the world. And it's the same kind of setup, but instead of we take the file. If you send the file, for example, to Iagon, it's sharded, meaning it's sliced up into many small pieces and distributed to a subset of nodes. What I mean by subset is that it's, for example, if you as a user want it only stored in Europe, it'll only be stored in randomly on nodes across Europe. If you want to store it in the US, it'll only be stored in the US. That's for compliance purposes, right? Now, using the data lake analogy, now imagine the same lake, but now multiple mini lakes, and they also have a fence around it. But they're also are frozen, completely frozen, right? Why I say this is you have the encryption on the outside, but then you have the blockchain level access. That's where the blockchain comes in terms of the access layer. So even if the hacker were to jump over that encryption, he or she meets a frozen lake, which means there's no way to penetrate that data or get access to that data. Even if they do somehow magically, that's still a shard of the file. Doesn't even show you image, doesn't show you words. It's just a shard of the file. So the only person that can combine those mini lakes and liquefy the lake is the person that uploaded the file with their private key. So that's where that's the privacy, the security, and the sovereignty of your data. That's why you would do it in a distributed manner rather than a centralized manner.
This is the only way it should be done. Because you're right. I mean, I get phone calls and emails every day from like the Coinbase and stuff like that have data and data leaks. This is really genius. Like I didn't even think this was needed until you just explained the lakes and the fences around each small lake. And dude, this is incredible.
The sharding is it for me, because at that point, if they do exploit the server, they can't get anything but maybe that little shard, which is not going to give them anything. It'd be like ripping up a bunch of like important documents into like a million pieces or something and put it in a dumpster, and a homeless person grabs it and try to put it together. You put it in like 50 different dumpsters or whatever. So I love this approach. I love this approach. I haven't heard of it yet, so this is definitely innovative. And you guys have been working on it for a while. You said something about a Fortune 50 company wanting to white label. Instantly, I'm thinking enterprise, right? So would it even make sense for you guys to be able to do exclusive situations, or would you just kind of be an open kind of enterprise B2B solution? Because it's weird. It's like decentralized, but then like it is a business model. You want to build this to be, have revenue. What's the approach to that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that we get a question a lot about I think a lot of the ethos in blockchain and Web3 is about open source and building openly, and not a lot of people take to that because it's going away from the Satoshi vision, which is get away from all of this all of these corporates, right? But at the end of the day, it's the corporates that need this type of solution. It's them we need to influence to try to get more power back, because without them, I won't be able to have full sovereignty of my data, because I have to use these other tools in life and in digital world to be able to do my work, my daily work. And I think most people are like that. I'm not everyone's a nomad and living in the woods and not doing anything. So I think it's important to try to influence them in a way where they can use these tools. Like, for example, we're working with the bank. They want this type of solution where the user has full control of the data. They don't want to have access to it because it's a liability for them. So I think that maybe it works for our scenario because it's more about data and data privacy rather than, hey, I have your funds, right? Because it's here is you have your own data, but you're providing that tool to enterprises to basically benefit, because then they don't have to worry about compliance. They don't have to worry about liabilities. They have a cost effectiveness. They're earning from it. So it's a positive for them. Whereas, for Bitcoin, banks don't want that because you control your own money, or, the governments don't want that because they want to be able to freeze your funds, right? So it's a different kind of concept. So it does work for data storage and compute in my way. So for the white label solution, it's for us, it's about more users and bringing revenue back to the node operators. So 90% of the revenues that are subscribed to the network go directly back to the node operators. Just like Airbnb takes a commission, we take a 10% commission for the services provided. The rest is distributed to the node operators.
Look, that's the point that I wanted to bring up, because there's multi streams at work here. First of all, you guys are solving a genuine need for storage in a decentralized way, which feels far more secure. And you're also, there's probably some environmental impact to this as well, where you are sometimes tapping existing infrastructure rather than building new infrastructure. So there's a nobility part to that. What I really like about the Iagon product is that there are multiple streams of things going on here. First of all, you're helping build communities on the Web3 side. You can invest in Iagon. I'd encourage our audience to check it out. But you can go and invest in Iagon. You can purchase your own nodes. Tokeo certainly has those as well, which we use to provide our community payouts. And is highly successful in that point. But on the other side too, you're solving a real world problem, and Tokyo is certainly always looking for IRL opportunities where we can get more people into Web3. So you're kind of building communities, returning revenue to those communities via the nodes, and also solving a real world problem at the same time. Right now that for me is kind of like true innovation, where you're servicing multi parts there. And I know that just why don't you talk us through sort of a little bit about what it means to purchase a node and the different kinds of nodes that are available, because there are public nodes, right? And then Tokyo's also invested in some private enterprise nodes. But what are the different kind of opportunities that are available if you do want to invest in providing this infrastructure?
Yeah. So, the node network is permissionless. So we have a lot of node software available for different devices. Like we have CLI, we have, MacBook, we have Windows, we have a lot of support for even Synology devices as well. and you can actually run on any software. So we don't, as long as you meet the minimum requirements. So the minimum requirements are you have to have a certain bandwidth, upload, download speed is the minimum, and you have to provide at least 1 terabyte of data storage. And now what the unique part of where the patent is learning the behavior of the nodes. So what we do is we learn the behavior of the nodes in different variables, which is like performance, that could be bandwidth, read-write speed, and things like that, availability, which is the uptime, trust, and geolocation. And these metrics we take in variables we take into account and give the node a reputation. And based on the reputation, that's how the shards are allocated, right? So let's say if a user comes in and it's an enterprise user, they will want really high performance, high uptime, and their minimum requirements will be much higher than a regular user. And it'll only be distributed to those nodes that meet that requirement in a region that's selected. So for example, Tokyo is running really high-end infra, right? So they will be allocated this work because they are part of that high-tier node operations, right? So those are the different types of nodes, and they're tiered. We're going to be actually revamping the tiering system to 1 to 10. And I think Tokyo is actually running a tier 10 right now in that subset. But basically, that will allow to have multiple tiers where you have really high requirements. And for example, Tokyo is also running enterprise compute node, which has uptime, which has a cost effectiveness compared to AWS between 40 to 60%, and is more performant benchmarked against AWS, 40 times more performant than AWS, because of the minimum requirements are so high. So we're able to offer a much more cheaper solution, but even more costly because we're just focusing on idle capacities. The last node I wanted to highlight was we got a lot of big community requests in terms of, how do I set up a node? Why is it so complicated? Isn't there something that I can just plug in and have it running, right? So we actually just recently are going to be shipping out something called a Cyclone device.
Shipping hardware. I didn't realize
shipping
that.
hardware. Yeah. It's
Okay.
a plug and play node for retail node operators. So all you do is just you plug it in, Ethernet cable, a few clicks, and then you're ready to go as a node operator. And it's just fine-tuned, so everything comes in installed. You have the hard drives built in. You can order without hard drives. It's not vendor locked, so if ever you wanted to get rid of the node, you could just say, hey, I want to run it as a NAS device at home, right? Or just want a storage device at home. So it's a pretty cool device for retail. Obviously, it won't fit all the needs of, for example, enterprise clients, but it will create a much more distributed and secure system for retail consumers.
I love that. And like the distribution is going to be, in terms of revenue distribution that's shared, that's going to be dependent on the ranking of the kind of tier of the nodes, right? So an example, if you're giving more, you're hitting a higher minimum requirement, then you'll earn more. Am I right with that?
So it'll be depending on the demand. So how
Gotcha.
often you get used as a node. So for example, if there's a region that's not being really used, and there's so many nodes that in that region, the supply side is a lot higher than the demand side, then the rewards will be less. But if there's nodes that are earning, are actually getting chosen by the reputation model automatically because of their high reputation, and there's a lot of demand in the region, then of course they will be earning more proportionally. Yes.
Now, I feel that given that you're on the BTC Zone, and we are, the purposes of this show, we've had ETH-based products in here, which are making Bitcoin operable for ETH. We had the guys from Go Native last week, which are using MPC layers to make Bitcoin operable, for yield-based products, which is something that Tokyo is working on really heavily at the moment in terms of introducing better yield products. Iagon, it's a great yield product, right? We're certainly investors and strong believers. It's a big part of our treasury strategy at Tokyo. What are the plans? And we'd certainly like to kind of explore this with you guys. But do you have plans at the moment? We're kind of always about breaking down silos, and a big part of what Tokyo's about, and a big part about what this show's about is breaking down the silos between chains, right? We've long held a view that, and we to dumb it right back down, is that you don't call someone from a phone using Verizon, into a Telstra network, for example. You don't ask on the call what network you're calling from. We sort of see blockchains like that, that there will be coming a time where, and technology is certainly leading towards this, that we see, the ability for people to have access to those products and services, really seamlessly. Look, if you were to look at a scenario now, you would be looking at, having maybe a layer 2 or a token on Bitcoin, or even Bitcoin itself, going through a centralized exchange, swapping that for Cardano, buying Iagon tokens, then purchasing, setting up a node, right? That's a pretty big pathway. Is there anything that you guys are kind of looking at, knowing that you guys are absolute Cardano legends and very, very tied to that chain? Is that something that's kind of on the horizon for you guys? Are you looking at stuff where you can make this investment operable for other chains?
100%. And I think that, as you said it pretty well, users are everywhere, right? They're not in one place. And you have to be where the users are. And I think that we plan on being chain agnostic. We've been waiting for the right tooling or the right development to hit track, and we've been seeing a lot of nice narrative and development towards that, which is the BTC Cardano interoperability. And I think there's a lot of teams, multiple teams developing this. There's a few of them trying to do this, and hopefully by the end of the year they will, and which is basically like a gateway. And you don't have to, it's not a bridge where you would have to, lock up assets and then unlock assets on one chain. It would be interoperable, meaning you can use assets from one chain on the other chain. That's I hope that's how they will build it, and how they will get it with the mathematical proofs that they're working on. So let's see how far they get. But that's a dream for us, because bridges are a nightmare for any tokens. It's a big security risk, and if we can do it without bridges, I think it'll be amazing.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of development coming around that area. We're all really close to what's occurring in that area, and I think that the ability to whether it's a synthetic which is being released on another chain, if you're still holding the native token inside your wallet and you can see that, right? Yeah. And there's a value exchange on that. That's the kind of abstractions that we're kind of looking at now. But there is a big movement, and there's a lot of teams working on that. I know there's a lot of Cardano teams working on that as well. So I think that stuff is getting closer, and I certainly feel like that is going to be, because, I certainly know Shizzy and Yagob's like, would you guys invest in this product, right? Like, if it was easy for Bitcoin, like,
I would do it on Cardano. But
you're not excluded from doing it now. Don't you can get in now. Don't saying that. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was going to say though, whether the interoperability happens in 2025, 2026, or let's say it takes to 2027, it's going to happen. So, you know, because the demand of it is there, right? So, you know, the future is an interoperable future for our space, and the more that we, you know, speed that up, the better, in my opinion. Obviously, you want to do it the right way, but I could definitely see, you know, something like Iagon, to where, you know, different enterprises might actually, you know, be a little bit more favored towards a specific environment. And I think that you guys will be able to provide that to them, you know, if they want to use a different, you know, blockchain for that, for tracking and all that stuff. But, you know, I love the history of having the experience on the EVM tech stack and then going to UTXO. You guys have great experience being in the two largest tech stacks of our space that kind of started everything. And then I wouldn't be shocked if you guys just opened it up to other innovative ways to do it, right? So it seems like you guys have an open mind to that. Is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tokyo's doing a great job at that as well. I think with the wallet is the first thing people see in the Web3, right? And with the interoperability that they're working on, I think it'll be a great tool to get people onboarded from different chains. And you know, Gaida's always here, you know, interacting with different chains, and I think that's a great step, because not a lot of people are doing that, you know, going outside of their, you know, bubble, and we need to do that. We need to meet the user where they are, and get that interoperability and work together. We see so many people, you know, this is better, that's better, right? You can decide that, but the user is going to pick where the best tools are, right? And they don't care about what's
narrow. I think it's a narrow view to think like that, and I think that there are more and more people not thinking like that. You know, we obviously just launched a product over on Sui, and you know, the way in which all of the projects over there are thinking. You know, how do we get access to users? Tokyo's about to roll out on Ripple. We're working on a Ripple Sui based product. We're working on an XRP a Cardano based product as well at the same time. You know, you've got a lot of these chains, and the simple reality is, right, you've got $2.2 trillion worth of Bitcoin sitting there. Every time you unlock 1%, you're unlocking $20 billion plus in liquidity. You know, it was never, it's most people sit there and, you know, 95% of the people sit there and watch their Bitcoin go up and down idly. You know, chains like XRP are the same. You know, you've got an emerging DeFi culture over there, but for a long time, you know, XRP had that sort of stablecoin environment where they've really pushed that, and they've got their dedicated holders who are XRP maxis. Now, in a lot of cases, they don't do anything with their XRP, and I think that, you know, it's not just, you know, the crypto natives, you know, and degens that we work with, that they're the kind of people that, you know, are largely used to, I suppose, putting their tokens to work and looking for yield-based products, and, you know, and looking for places in which they can grow and accelerate their wealth, right? What we need to tap into is to make, you know, this product makes, you know, storage makes sense to everyday users. You know, it is a real world product that has already got traction. Everyone knows that you need it, right? But in a crypto landscape, we need to start breaking down barriers where we can say to an XRP holder, do you know what? There's an opportunity to invest in a strong and reliable product on Cardano. You know, it's been around since 2018. It's got a proven track record. It's solving a real world problem. It gives you, you know, strong, dedicated returns. You know, they're the kind of bridges that we want to see broken down, because it's not getting the 4 or 5% of crypto natives that we have. It's educating the 95% of people which are sitting on Bitcoin and watching their stacks go up and down, and giving them access to these kind of products. So, you know, that's certainly what we're working on, and I'd love to see those kind of innovations come for Iagon.
Yeah, and we're actually even seeing that, like, with the most tribalistic group of all, and that's the Bitcoin core people. If you're honest, they're the ones. Yeah, they're the ones that are, you know, saying that, you know, everything else is crap and all these things. But recently, you even have the core developer group that's saying, hey, look, we realize that Bitcoin needs to kind of lift some limitations here, and we might have to add op CTV, which is an op code that will bring computation to layer 1, or at least like the covenants, right? So you can do more stuff, and then you can have something like Iagon actually interacting with like layer 1 at some point in the future, and that's exciting to me, because what if you're a small client of Iagon, and you want these files to be extra secure and beyond, like maybe they want to have storage on Bitcoin. Who knows? I'm just saying that's an example, and I'm glad that even the tribalistic of them all are starting to open their mind over on Bitcoin as well. So
yeah, man,
Awesome.
100% too. And this is like a project for Spark, with the Lightning Network as using the foundation. I mean, that's immediately what I think. Imagine, storing these files on the Lightning Network and that are actually going to be pushing it on Bitcoin later. I mean, there's so much opportunity for that aspect. But your product is something special. I truly believe that. And I've never once said take my money, but please take my money. Like, do you take stable coins or Bitcoin, or what do you guys take? Because like being able to just plug my Ethernet into, set it, forget it, and be earning potentially while I'm sleeping and everything. And I'm in the Philadelphia area, so I'm in my head right away, like, there's probably nobody here. I probably have an opportunity in the Philadelphia area to be one of the cloud storage systems. Like, you get a lot of people like saying things like I just said, because it's one of those things where it's like, this is where I kind of want to put my money. Originally, I was like, I want to put my money in Bitcoin in a ledger. Now I'm kind of thinking, no, I need to figure out ways and projects like yours to earn off nodes and my electricity bill.
I mean, the cyclones are awesome. I think the first batch got sold out. We did 340 devices, and they're shipping out this month to the users. Majority of the retail customers are in the U.S., so we have a lot of nodes in the U.S. and this will increase our network by about increase it to almost 1,000 nodes actually. So that's gonna be nice, and that's much higher than a lot of the other storage players that are out there, aside from Filecoin, which is the only one that has more nodes currently. So we're getting there, and I think that it's gonna be exciting to see, and providing these kind of tools like plug and play nodes is awesome. What we want to have in the future, what the long-term vision is, once we have the compute nodes, so this is just the storage that we're talking about, but we plan to have compute nodes as well, and the compute nodes, but basically we want to create like a marketplace, where simple as where you would have something like an iPhone, where you have an iPhone, you can install an app, and you can use that app. So eventually what we want to have in this compute marketplace is something like an app store, where you would be able to run any kind of node. Maybe even you want to run a Bitcoin miner or something. Well, at a certain point we can do that as well, depending on the device. But for example, hey, I want a Cardano node install. That's how simple we want to make it for users, and that's the thing I think is really lacking in this space, is simple tools that attract users that aren't really in the tech know-how, and that's the majority of the group.
You took the words out of my mouth, and that is always what we're working on Tokeo. We're working on single button push solutions, which unlock, what we're really pushing for at the moment is we're building our yield aggregator at the moment, which is a multi-chain yield aggregator. But what it does is it demystifies what is really quite complex in a lot of cases. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. The idea of going in and setting up nodes and buying those tokens and stuff can sometimes be really complex for people, and it is hard for people to get their head around. Even though having used the Iagon system myself, I will say that setting up nodes is really easy. We certainly set them up for Tokyo that way, but when you can kind of create that sort of single button push, and it chains a bunch of transactions, for example, to make something simple, I think that you're really attracting a new class of user when you do that. And you kind of, again, you're demystifying what it can be quite complex transactions. Just on timing now, so just a couple of final thoughts, Nav. what's coming up for you guys. I know you've obviously got these Cyclone units out. Where do people find that? They just head over to the Iagon site and everything's available there. And how do people get into these nodes? They just head over to your team, or I think we'll bring it up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, appreciate you guys taking your time and everyone listening in, and you guys inviting me to the show. Appreciate that, and I like being forced into a different side of the realm and talking to new people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys can check us out on Iagon.com. All of our socials are listed in the footer, so if you scroll all the way down to the website, you'll see all our socials. We're very active on Discord and X. We still have the old Twitter because we've been around. So old Twitter logo because we've been on X. We've been in the space so long. What's going on, I think, is we plan on having the Cyclone deliveries. We have a new node software that's going to be written in Rust. That's going to be released. We have which a lot of people, and myself included, don't like talking about so much, but we have centralized exchange listings, 4 of them by October. And we plan to have our Worth Group MVP, which we didn't talk too much about, by the end of Q4. And we will be revenue positive by 2026, which means that we will be earning about 1 to 3 million for the node operators worldwide for the royalties that are coming in. That's awesome. A big win for us. So we got very excited about that, and very excited about all the enterprise adoption that's coming through. I mean, we're always active on X. Just check us out. If you have any questions, just shoot it our way.
Awesome. On behalf of the team, look, we have really interesting guests on this show. Again, if you're out there listening and you can think of someone who's interesting, hit us up. But I think that when it terms interesting and innovative projects, this has been a great one for me. I'm sure it has for you guys too. And yeah, it's been awesome to have you on, Nav, and insightful as always. And I look forward to catching up with you really soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, mate. Appreciate you coming on.
Guys.
Yeah. See ya.
Take it easy.
See you, Nav. Well, absolutely awesome. Guido did it and knocked it out the park. Probably the best guest that me and Iagon have on probably in a few months now. Like, I'm sorry the other guests, but this was really good. I feel like it was different. It was different than your normal. This is what we're building. It feels like real. It feels like something's going to be here in 10 years.
Real world usage. That's the big key phrase there, right? It's been so much meme, launchpad, this and stuff, and now things are starting to get serious. And look, they've been building this since 2018, and I love that they went through that journey from Ethereum to Cardano, and now they're opening up. So thank you, Guido, for getting that guest on. I mean, you came through in the clutch for sure.
Yeah. Look, look, that's what we want to do on this show. Tuning in, guys. We want to keep moving the needle here in terms of innovative and interesting guests and projects that are really doing something. And I think that to say again that I found that one, Nav is just, he's a great guy. He is such a great guy to interact with. He's always helping for people in the Cardano ecosystem would know this, but he's always helping people inside the ecosystem. If you've got a challenge, he's one of those go-to guys that helps out. But they're solving a lot of problems, right? They're creating a more secure, decentralized storage product, which feels like it is, being offered at a much cheaper rate too. And it's also, utilizing, downtime on servers globally, and really, I suppose, creating a product which has got so many use cases. So yeah, I absolutely loved having them on. They were awesome. Absolutely awesome. Guys, should we give away some cash?
Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm ready this time. The last couple of times it hasn't been a lot of comments. Got to get the comments up for next time. But I think we are getting more than usual. So we do have a couple people on here for today. So you guys are gonna be lucky enough. And guys, remember, you guys all you gotta do is put one comment in the chat here on YouTube. Not to mention everything on Kick, Twitch, Abstract, and Rumble as well. So let's spin this thing up.
Good luck. Good luck. What is this
So
for, though?
It's good for Tokyo, right?
Yep. So Tokyo, 20,000 Tokyo tokens.
Congratulations, chips and
Chip
dip. I'm
and
gonna lock
dip.
you in.
Done.
And we're
Great.
also doing a giveaway for 500,000 TK tokens, right?
Yep, 500,000. Ready?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Spin it again.
Is this for one person?
It's just the one person.
Oh my
Small.
God.
Let's
This
see.
is a big. Here we go. BB.
Well done.
Congrats to
Congratulations.
BB.
Hey, there are way
Please
more.
reach out to us.
There are way more people tuning into this space that are putting comments in here. So, guys, if you're in the space and you're not dropping a comment, you're missing out, right?
Yeah.
Like, just drop a comment in there, and we'll add you to the wheel.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got.
And there's a thing. For some reason, we were not seeing the kick comments and stuff like that. So next week, what we'll do is we'll try to get all the comments from everywhere at once and try to get them all in here. So.
Yeah, sorry if we didn't include you. We got 305 people listening in right now, actually, because it shows for the host over here. But exciting episode. Can't wait till the next one. Any final words? Any final words, Guido?
Look, just I hope you guys are really enjoying the show. Tune in, same bat time, same bat channel next week. We'll be here. I've got something a little bit left to field again that's planned. We'll keep bringing the interesting guests. Thank you very much to the audience that tuned in. Stay well. Peace.
Peace.
See you guys.
Peace.